Hey everyone, welcome back to the Superhero Show and Chris's return. Hey
Bonjour.
Chris. Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah, what did you say about me last week?
So you died.
Yeah, I got some tweets about that I wasn't that pleased about.
No, that's fine, but you've come back on the 7th day. It's fine. It was a joke. It was quite obviously a joke. I said that you hadn't. It wasn't being serious. Anyway, you returned with something you want to talk about.
Yeah, I have actually, because you and I have been lucky enough to watch some of season 2 of Daredevil this week.
No spoilers?
But there's some spoiler-free reviews on the site already, and we'll do shows where we go into much more detail once it's out. But it got me thinking about the fact that this summer, there's quite a lot of similarities between the superhero projects with slight sort of variations. But Punisher, you've got, well, we'll see where it goes this season, but it feels like two anti-heroes going toe-to-toe with ideological differences, trying to achieve the same thing, who eventually sort of get over their differences and maybe team up. I don't know, we don't know at this point. Batman v Superman, you've got a hero and an anti-hero with ideological differences who are going to go toe-to-toe, and then we're guessing team up. Well, we're pretty sure they will with Wonder Woman.
I'm sure this is not happening again.
I don't think so, unless you think about Captain America Civil War, where you've got two teams of heroes with ideological differences who... Well, actually, I don't know how that one's going to end. Like, will they be teaming up at the end, or will the film just be about the war between them two? We don't know at this point, but it's variations on a theme, isn't it? These three big projects this summer. And I feel like X-Men has done it in the past with Professor X.
I guess that's always been at the core of those movies.
And it might be less so this time around. We'll see how they deal with Apocalypse. But certainly those three projects, I just felt like, are we going to get bored of seeing the same thing over and over again? And is one going to do it better than the other?
I guess partly I think it speaks to the fact that superheroes have been around for a while, so we've kind of gone away from the classic hero meets villain. Hero beats villain in final act after hero doing lots of evilish things throughout the movie. We've kind of got away from that. A lot of the origin stories kind of had that as the backbone, whether it's Iron Man taking on Ironmonger, or whether it's Captain America taking on Red Skull. We've got to a point now where we know so many heroes. It makes sense to get to this point where heroes start going up against each other and kind of grating on each other. Yeah,
I guess it means it's a much more kind of layered villain, isn't it? Because it was good versus evil. It was Lex Luthor. It was the three Iron Man films. It was Red Skull. There wasn't really anything ideological good about the people that they were fighting. Whereas now, I guess they're trying to have grades. It's more shades of grey, I guess.
And it means they've built more nuanced, complex worlds. I think the DC thing, we're getting it also because I think they want to get lots of the heroes up and running quickly. So it makes sense to bring them in as kind of antagonists, because you can put them in one movie rather than do lots of those movies which we're saying that people kind of got bored of. Instead of just having another Batman standalone film, another kind of, we can put lots of them in this movie. I think it's good because I think we're getting more interesting stories, and that can't be a bad thing.
Which of those three, though, do you think is going to be the most interesting? We've obviously seen half of one of them at this point.
I think Civil War is going to be most interesting because I do think that's going to be, quotes I've been reading of late, there's going to be a Captain America film. I think for all the characters in that movie, it's going to be about Cap and Bucky for the majority of that movie. But there's some tweets and there's some stuff you can read online. I think people have seen test screenings this week, and there's some stuff coming out where the final hour, it's not a spoiler, but its final hour feels like it will have consequences. And Marvel at the moment is good at making things happen and working towards a goal that we know about. DC are going to do that in Batman vs Superman. They're going to lay groundwork. And after we see that movie, we can talk about more where that universe is heading. But we know Infinity War is happening. And I think this movie is going to have lasting consequences. I think it's going to tear characters apart. I think, apparently they don't hold back. At the end of this movie, Captain America and Iron Man aren't going to hug and make up. It sounds like they're really going to beat each other up and not be friends anymore. And that's going to be an interesting, they're going to follow through on that rather than what I suspect in Batman v Superman, as the end of the second act, they team up. Because they have to. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just saying that's a different thing. And that's what DC needs to do right now. It can't just have its superheroes fighting each other immediately for the next 5 movies. It hasn't earned that place yet, it hasn't got there yet.
For me, it's the Daredevil Punisher relationship, because I think it's the most morally complex one. It's really going to give them an opportunity to examine what it is superheroes do, what they mean, what's good and bad about the effects of what they do in sort of real world consequences.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think Batman and Superman will do that a little bit, but Daredevil has the advantage of having
Time.
10 hours to tell that story and really dig deep into sort of the meaning of it.
And which the first season did as well, because through that first season, he's really wrestling with himself, with his own Catholicism, with his sense of morality, guilt and redemption. Is he doing the right thing? Is he making a difference? And then in this series, he comes against someone who is a darker version of himself. You know, like he says, the line in the trailer, you're one bad day away from being me. And what I love about those early episodes, not a spoiler, they really go into examining that. It's almost like a thesis on the morality of superheroes. And there are long dialogue scenes where they really examine the intricacies of those debates, which I think is really satisfying.
Yep.
And particularly Frank Castle's take on things is really interesting.
So which of these versions of that same story are you most excited about?
I am probably most excited about Civil War, just because I feel like I had so much time with each of those characters that it'll be the most ambiguous, because I'll sympathise with them by virtue of following them on so many adventures and be invested in all of those characters, that it'll be quite heart-wrenching to have to decide, even if I have to turn against one and go, actually, you're well in the wrong.
Yeah.
It's like when one of your mates going, I have to stop you there. Yeah. You actually bang out the order. Maybe that's the final act. Yeah. Do you think that's the role of Black Panther, going, I don't know anyone here, but you're acting like a bit like a dick?
Yeah. And Black Widow's going, leave him alone!
Just pulling him back. Hulk's left. He don't even like you anymore.
I think you only pick Civil War because you're a Marvel fanboy.
That's what the emails say sometimes.
That's the only reason.
But the thing is, there's nothing. We've only seen Man of Steel so far.
Yeah.
When it comes to DC movies.
Hey, don't.
Once Batman v Superman comes out, that's all we're going to talk about.
Chill, Marvel fanboy. Shall I do a bit of feedback about Batman v Superman?
Yes.
I think it's negative. But we didn't say
right in.
This is from Langley M. Neely from Chicago, Illinois, who says, in thinking about all the praise for Deadpool's marketing and how pitch perfect it's been, I started to wonder, has Batman v Superman overstayed its welcome in the marketing department? I say this because currently there seems to be a lack of crazy enthusiasm for the film. I think the lukewarm attitude can be solely attributed to the fact that this movie was announced in the summer of 2013 and was pushed back at least twice. The last date for the film to drop was last summer. Yes and no. I think, to be fair also, the people that watch this show and us are the people that are lapping up every little bit of marketing. I think if you're in the real world, like, you're only really knowing about this, the real world.
No, that's what it feels like. I think.
Yeah, in a larger sort of scheme of things, you're only just seeing the trailers and the adverts and finding out Superman and Batman fight each other. So I think we are a vocal minority, but we're a minority in terms of
absolutely.
The world.
I find that stuff always really hard to gauge. Yeah. Everyone you follow on Twitter, everyone we speak to in the office, our whole lives is living within this bubble of fandom and interest. I don't know. Like, I know my mum knows about it now and she wants to go see it. Like, and it's Batman v Superman. She knows what both those things are. But in the wider field, how many people knew what Deadpool was? And that did really well. Yeah. So I find it very difficult to gauge as we
certainly didn't have box office predictions. If you go back and watch them, let's not revisit them at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like we didn't last year.
We can change them.
But it'd be interesting to find out.
Justin's written in with some, Justin Bartleston's written some great DC casting suggestions.
Okay.
This is a brilliant one. Although, he says, although your plans to fist multiple celebrities fell through, I know your guy's show is pretty influential. He is right.
I just wanted to fist one person. Maybe the guy they've cast, we can speak to about
Finn
that.
Jones. Yeah, we can pitch that when we do the junket in Paris.
Crikey.
Hotel room. I have a few casting suggestions that would be cool if you guys could get the news out there. We can do that, Justin. Bryan Cranston as Dr. Hugo Strange. Images included.
Oh, hello.
Very similar. Previously, Bryan has said that he's interested in superhero movies, or the specifically named Marvel. But once DC establishes its own universe in the coming years, he might be open to DC. I think he's a perfect choice. Yeah, well, we know we're going to get another Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah. Hugo
Strange has just been depicted for the first time by B.D. Wong in Gotham. It'd be great to have a big screen version of him.
Yeah. Give Cranston any role.
And then, because I know you'll like this one, as either Deathstroke or Cable, but preferably Deathstroke, Joe Mango Yellow.
Your favourite.
Yeah.
This is from Dan Brooks, who says, I don't know a great deal about Iron Fist, only what has been said on the show. However, on our show or their show, our show, I guess, they haven't mentioned him, have they?
What's that?
I don't know a great deal about Iron Fist, only what has been said on the show.
Oh, sure.
Okay. Awesome. I don't know much about it. However, from the sounds of Arrow, season 1 could be a good template for them to use. Have Danny return from his training in episode 1 and then use flashbacks throughout the series to show what he went through.
Yeah, so me and Gav were talking about this last week. Out of all the Netflix shows, it's kind of the most elaborate and exotic origin. He's not just staying in New York, he has to go to the Far East. And how they're going to like handle that within the show, whether it's, does he stay in New York or we get it through flashbacks? But I think Arrow's a good template for that.
Yep.
Final email is from Blake Geyer from Ohio. This is a rumour that's just come out in the last few days. I was wondering what you thought about the rumour that Green Lantern will not appear until Justice League 2 and maybe not even then. You know about this?
No.
So, Rovan has said, producer on Batman v Superman and Justice League, when he was asked whether Green Lantern's going to be in Justice League, he said no. And he said he might not even appear to Justice League 2 or a movie beyond that. So it feels like he's one character that they're going to delay. And what do you think about that? Is it a sensible decision given?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's not like they haven't got enough characters. I love Green Lantern, but take their time, find their feet and get it right, really make sure they get it right next time. Because, I don't know, things I've heard, things that have gone around the internet, there might be problems behind the scenes with some of these DC films and projects. And I think that we've got to wait and see how this pans out, I think, before they start committing to a new one of those.
I think it's a great ace to have up your sleeve, because you're going to do Batman v Superman, awesome characters, but we've seen them before and it'll be a good way in. Then we're going to get Wonder Woman, female superhero. Then we're going to go under the oceans with Aquaman. We've not done that. Marvel has not done that. They've not done Namor, who I think Fox might have the rights to. Nobody's done under the sea superheroes yet, so they'll be first there. And then later on, they can then go into space and go cosmic with Green Lantern if they want to do something different later on. So I think it's probably a sensible decision to save it.
Yeah, that's your plan.
Let the memory fade. So yeah, that's it for this week's feedback. Let us know what you want to talk about at superheroshowign.com.
Yeah, actually, I was just thinking, let's have your questions for the Daredevil cast. Because if you get them in within 24 hours after this show's gone up, I'm going to be interviewing them.
Yes.
This week, and so we can maybe do a show with the Daredevil cast, answer
Punisher,
your question. Yeah,
and Elektra.
Daredevil, Punisher, and Elektra. So we could do a show, the Daredevil cast answer your questions.
Yeah, there you
How's
go.
that? Make them good. So what was the address again?
superheroshowign.com, and until next week for everything on Daredevil and Batman v Superman, stay right here on IGN.